How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hip Drop Podcast. Lucas and I are back. We are, 9 days away from the NFL draft. We are back for the first time since last Wednesday, so a little less than a week since we last met. Not a ton has happened between now and our last meeting. We had a trade between the Packers and the Eagles. The Packers sending Dontavian Wicks to Philadelphia in exchange for a fifth-round picks. The Eagles adding a receiver to their room in the event that they lose A.J. Brown, which does not happen yet. Besides that, no really big transactions, no major signings. Kind of quiet, kind of the calm before the storm, before the draft hits off at the end of next week. So Lucas and I will ease that blankness. I don't know, ease the quiet part and content with the mock draft, and the difference between this mock draft and the past two that we've done. We will be doing the first half of the first round, so the first 16 picks, as opposed to just the first 10. And then additionally, we will select with teams that have additional first round picks beyond the first 16. Those teams are the Cowboys with the 20th overall from the Packers, the Browns with the 24th overall pick from the Jaguars, and then, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs with the 29th overall pick from the LA Rams. So last time, I believe, I went odds, Lucas went evens, so we'll switch it up this time. I will do the odds, so I'll do the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Giants, etc. Lucas will do the Jets, Titans, Browns, etc. You get the point. So Lucas is the even picks, I have the odd picks, so I'll have the first pick. Lucas, do you have anything more to add before we do our last unofficial mock draft before doing the full first round next week?
Other than where we are going to be using a new website. It's something called we were using Pro Football Focus, but after the recent daily after they got rid of a bunch of talent for ridiculous reasons, I am no longer using that simulator. But I found one that's actually almost as good. It's called Stick to Model. When I'm up with the Jets, I'll show you some new features, but like it's actually pretty cool. Like it actually might be superior in PFF to a couple different ways. A couple of them very obvious, but not perfect. But without further ado, I will share my screen and we'll actually get to learn what is going on here. So, okay, so let me know when you can see my screen and you could see the stick to the model website.
I can see it. It's on my screen.
Perfect. So I will just get it started. So this is a little bit of a different system, but you're going to take Fernando Mendoza. Do you want to spend any time analyzing the pick? It's not like we spent 10 minutes talking about this pick the past month, so we just it's going to be Mendoza. Anything else you want to add?
No, there's no point to analyze it. It's going to be him at one.
Gotcha. So yeah, so one thing that makes it cool for stick to the model is you click on a player, it gives you the analysis, gives you the relevant athletic metrics right here, any trends of like, hey, how have they been moving in mock drafts over the course of the past X number of months, any stats, and like, hey, if you don't watch a ton of tape, it gives you a scouting report. Like, okay, I kind of get the gist of this player. So we could just stop wasting our time, and then take Fernando Mendoza. Let me take the pick. And this is very unprofessional right now. So why do I take? Oh, I didn't hit start. Okay, that's why.
That would help. That would help. Yeah,
I have
that would
I have a little screen. So I look like a real idiot right now. You see the start button right there.
And Lucas, I'm also an idiot. You're supposed to have the odds. So you took Mendoza. I have the evens. I misspoke at the beginning because I had the odds last time.
You were going to take Mendoza. Like, were you going to take Caleb Downs number one? Like,
no.
Yeah,
no.
Okay, so this I look like an idiot. So you don't see it on the screen, but when you share your screen on a Google Meet, I have like a little like rectangle that pops up. It shows what you guys see, and then it shows Owen's camera, then my camera. That was covering the middle of the screen. So like I didn't see the start, trade, or redo buttons. So okay, we're actually going to start it now. So hit start the draft. Now we're going to take Fernando Mendoza. So
okay,
not that it would have affected the first pick, but do you want to do what we would do, or what do you think what will actually happen?
Like no, we're doing. Actually, let's switch it up. So next week we'll do what we think is going to happen. Let's do what we would do. Let's pretend like in this instance, I'm pretending to be Darren Muji, GM of the Jets. Who am I picking here? So that's the model we're doing.
You were John Spytek. I'm Darren Muji because you have odds. No, I have odds. No,
you have odds.
Had the Chiefs last. No, you had the Chiefs last time, right?
I did. Yes, I had the Chiefs last time we did this.
So you have the evens this time.
Yes. So I'm the
Okay,
Jets. You are the
okay.
Cardinals. I am the Titans. So on and so forth. I misspoke at the beginning, probably confused everybody. So that's
Yeah,
my
that's
fault.
fine.
So I'm the
Real
Jets.
professional operation we have going on. So okay, you're the Jets. You're
Okay.
Darren
You know
Moody. Go
what?
ahead.
Nobody's gonna care as long as we give them what they want.
Yeah.
So I'm the Jets. All right. This is what I think the Jets should do. Not what I think they will do, is what I think they should do. And what I
Time
would
out.
do,
Time out. Time out.
what?
This is a cool feature that is actually relevant. So yeah, this is real professional. So for every team that pops up, so let's say you're the Jets, you can go to their command center, and their command center has a couple of cool features. It has their upcoming picks in this current draft, like one round. So like it'll only show pick 2 and 16. It'll show current picks and any like mathematical value. But also my favorite part that PFF didn't have, it had the depth chart, which it's loading right now. So now if you're questioning like, okay, who's actually on the roster? Who do they have at certain positions? You could just pull up the depth chart and like, oh, like here's who they have, here's their starting defensive line, here's their linebackers, here's their secondary, and you could even do it in different schemes and formations. So sorry to interrupt you, but like that's a little cool feature that like if you're undecided, just pull up the depth chart on the same screen.
Copy.
Okay, go
All
ahead.
right. So finally, the Jets will make their pick after a long discussion. Uh, if I were the Jets, I personally would still take Arvell Reese. Uh, I think there's been a lot of smoke of them taking David Bailey. Lucas and I have had a long conversation about David Bailey. He's lower on him than I am, lower on him than the consensus. I would take Arvell Reese because of his versatility. I think a lot of people have compared him to Micah Parsons because of it, because of this ability to play multiple areas around the front seven, which is what Micah Parsons specializes at. People forget Micah Parsons was drafted as an off-ball linebacker, and at the end of his rookie year, the Cowboys moved him to edge rusher, where he's been, among the premier players in the league at that position since then. But he's still a guy that can play, interior defensive line, off-ball linebacker. Arvell Reese is this kind of player. Like he's listed as an edge, but he can play off-ball. He can play inside. He has the athleticism to do that. I think personally, he is, with the exception of Jeremiah Love, I think he's the best player in this draft. And the Jets are not going to take a running back considering they have Breece Hall, and I feel like they have more needs than a running back. So give me Arvell Reese, number 2, to the Jets. That's what I would do if I was Darren Muji. And now Lucas will pretend to be Monty Austinfort of the Cardinals.
I I agree with that pick. I think Arvell Reese, I don't think is exactly like Micah Parsons, but he's that general mold. Like any guy who goes from off-ball linebacker to pass rusher will always be compared to Micah Parsons. But yeah, I think that's the right pick. Like I just think worst case scenario, I think even if he doesn't work out as a pass rusher, he's going to be an awesome off-ball linebacker. And
Mm-hmm.
best case scenario, you get almost a juiced up Dante Hightower, what he was for the Patriots. Like, okay, he's an off-ball linebacker most of the time, but like you could line him up as a pass rusher for a game or two, depending on the health of your team, and like he's going to thrive there. So that's what I think that's the type of player I think they're getting. So I think that's the right pick. Arizona Cardinals, this is tough. Like, because like the needs I think they have are offensive tackle. So I'm not super high in this player, but I'm going to go Francis Maui-Noah. And this seems it's kind of difficult because I wouldn't take David Bailey here. It makes no sense for them to take a running back in their current position. It's too early for a safety, and I just don't think they should take a pure off-ball linebacker at 3, like Sonny Styles. Like there's a lot of risk there. I know Francis Maui-Noah is not a top 3 player in the draft, but for a team like the Cardinals, who like they're desperately trying to rebuild their offensive line, and they're actually pretty good at pass catcher, and their defense, I think, is more talent than people give it credit for. Will Johnson, if he stays healthy, is an excellent corner. They still have Budda Baker. They have a lot of raw talent in that front seven in terms of pass rush. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
they could unlock Walter Nolan, like Darius Robinson, like if they break out, like,
Josh
and they still
Sweat,
have
of course. Yeah.
Josh Sweat, even though I think Josh Sweat partially wants out, but like, I think they
Yeah.
can wait. Like, it makes sense, like, to take a guy like Francis Maui-Noah, like, just stick him at right tackle. They may or may not be drafting a quarterback. Like, give them bookend tackles. It makes sense. The Chiefs, I wouldn't take a guy like Maui-Noah, but for the Cardinals, it's 3rd overall. Like, I wouldn't mind it, and I would make the pick. And I think he's the best guy who could play tackle in this draft. Like Spencer
Mm-hmm.
Fano, I think is the best offensive line prospect, but I don't know if he could stick a tackle full time. Maui-Noah is the best player who I'm pretty confident could stick a tackle, but might have to go to guard. But a little bit of a reach, but I think the Cardinals' number 1 preference here is to trade out. Like maybe you try and bait a dumb team like the Cowboys into trading up, or maybe you get the Chiefs to move up if the price is right for Kansas City. But in the end, I'm going to go Maui Noah. No real strong needs here that fit the board. So you just go with the offensive line, get your bookend tackles, and protect a potential Ty Simpson if they decide to take him early in the second round.
Yeah, as of right now, it's Jacoby Brissett, which isn't exactly inspiring, but that's the position they're in. All right, actually, we have the Tennessee Titans, and um, I think a priority for the Titans is I think they prioritized, if I can speak, their defense by hiring Robert Saleh, signing John Franklin Myers, signing a guy like Alante Taylor at corner. Um, Obviously, they already have Jeffrey Simmons, who's one of the premier players at his position in the league. They need to build around Cam Ward offensively because last year the operation on offense around Cam Ward was horrendous to say the least. And look, they need receivers, they need offensive line help, they need a lot. But I'm going to go with the guy who I believe is the best player in this draft. Lucas, you also says the best player in this draft with Jeremiah Love to the Titans, fourth overall. I think this is the move that they should do to help make Cam Ward's life easier. And Love is a guy who obviously many view as like a borderline generational rusher of the football. But Love is also, unlike a guy like a Derrick Henry or, I'm trying to think of like other like pure running backs, Adrian Peterson in his prime. Jeremiah Love's an excellent pass catcher as well. So he can add to that part of the offense in that regard. Um, Look, they still have a lot of holes, like receivers, not great. Their offensive line, obviously not very good. But if adding a guy like Jeremiah Love, like it automatically makes your potential franchise quarterback's life easier. So give me Jeremiah Love to the Titans at number 4.
Yeah, I get that pick. For me, I actually, this might seem like what the hell is Lucas doing? I would have picked Dave. I may have picked David Bailey or Spencer Fano there. Like two guys I'm lower on, but I think David Bailey is built in a lab to play in a Robert Saleh system. So like even though I'm lower on him, you put him in the exact system he needs to work. If you're gonna pick any destination for David Bailey, it would be someone who plays the old Seattle Robert Saleh scheme. And I just don't think personally the Titans are in a position to take a running back at 4. I think in order to justify picking a running back in the first round, especially the top half, you got to have a quarterback and you got to have an offensive line that's stable. I don't think they have the offensive line. So I think I wouldn't have gone Love, but I respect the move. Like it wouldn't be crazy. I'm not going to sit here and criticize them if they do it. But I would have gone either Fano or Bailey. Just because I think Bailey fits the system. Tennessee makes sense to take Fano because the only position long term the Titans are set at is the left guard position with Peter Skoronski. So you could try Spencer Fano put him at guard and okay, we need to kick him out the tackle since Dan Moore sucks. They can try that. That makes sense because they need multiple spots long term. So okay, I'll stop rambling. I'm up with the New York Giants. I'm not going to say it's tough. I might say that a million times, but another team that I am going to try and, even though this is what I would do, I'm going to try and base it off as much as reality as possible. What I would do, but already knowing piecing together facts we already know. Because if we know a team is not going to pick a certain player, there's no chance. I'm not going to pick that guy, even if I think it makes sense for that team. So kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. John Harbaugh said something, I think it was at the Combine, that his goal is to have the best defensive line and the best offensive line. They shouldn't take a defensive lineman because I don't think a defensive tackle makes sense here. They might trade Dexter Lawrence. I think they should just pay him. But there was a report that came out tonight that they're at an impasse. They have enough edge rushers in Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. So they can't take a defensive lineman here. This is where I'm going to take Spencer Fano.
Okay.
I know that they have Andrew Thomas, but he's struggling to stay healthy. Jermaine Illuminor is not a long-term answer. John Michael Schmitz at center, and their guards aren't exactly set either. And the good thing about the command center, we could pull up their depth chart. So I'm not talking on my ass. Who is their starting offensive line? Evan Neal is slated to start a right guard.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I
can't believe they re-signed him.
Yeah.
I can't believe they re-signed him.
Yeah. So I think, especially for a young quarterback, I wouldn't hate this Fano pick. I like Fano as a prospect, offensive line prospect, but I don't like him as a pure tackle prospect, if that makes sense.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh, you can't take a guard at 5. I've recently started changing my opinions. Did you see what I know he's not guard, he's a center, but did you see what Tyler Linderbaum just got paid? Like, do you see what Trey Smith got paid? Like, they're making enough
Mhm.
money to where you could justify taking one inside the top 10 because, like, okay, you're getting more surplus value than you would have been like 5 years ago. We're like, okay, if you're going to take a guard, it has to be Quentin Nelson. Like, you can't be
Right.
taking someone who's going to be a really good guard. I think if I wasn't going to take Spencer Fano here, I would have taken Carnell Tate because that wide receiver core needs a wide receiver that complements Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is an undersized guy. You take the big guy in Carnell Tate, but I'm going to take Spencer Fano, protect Jackson Dart. I don't think it makes any sense to pick Jeremiah Love here, but I think you take Spencer Fano. You bolster the trenches. John Harbaugh said he wants to have the best offensive line and defensive line. Spencer Fano goes a long way.
Right, and they also signed Daniel Falele, so John Harbaugh just can't let him go for some
Sure.
reason I can't explain.
Yeah.
Much to the Chiefs fans' delight, both high-end offensive linemen in this draft are off the board. So that should make Chiefs fans celebrate. Although they should shudder that what Brett Veach is thinking of Caden Proctor right now, which honestly, that I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Just bring that to light. Next up, I have the Browns, and look, the Browns were a team that their offensive line's bad. They're trying to make it better. I mean, they signed Elton Jenkins, who's good when he's healthy. The Zion Johnson contract makes no sense. He's been awful his entire career. But they're a team that a lot of people thought offensive line would be the move. But Mauanoa's gone, Fano's gone. And the Browns don't need defense. Their defense is really good. They need as much offense as they can possibly get because outside of Quinshawn Judkins and Harold Fannin Jr., that assuming David Njoku's gone, which looks like he will be, currently still unsigned, that offense is a sad sight, just to put it lightly. So I'm gonna have them take the hometown kid and go with Carnell Tate here at 6. I think it makes the most sense. Um, this is a team that like needs as much offensive help as possible. Like they were one of the worst offenses in the league last year. They have been for years. And it's largely because they don't have the necessary talent on that side of the ball. Like Jerry Jeudy was really bad last season. Judkins and you have a tight end in Fannin, you have a good running back in Judkins, a promising running back in Judkins, should say. But that receiver core is maybe the worst in football. I would argue that it is. So take a receiver. It's your biggest need, in my opinion. Carnell Tate, I think, is the best receiver in the draft, and he's local, so he doesn't have to go very far. So give me Carnell Tate to the Cleveland Browns at number 6.
Yeah, no disagreements there. I think there's a chance they might go Monroe Freeling, but I think Carnell Tate's a very valid pick for them, especially because Jerry Jeudy is more of like a tweener between the slot and the outside. So Carnell Tate would give them a bona fide X outside receiver. So I like the pick. Washington, I'm torn between two players. Like, number one would be Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn runs a very similar scheme to Robert Saleh because, like, I think Robert Saleh coached under Dan Quinn. I think back in Seattle, like way back in the day. So, like, I think David Bailey would make sense. And I'm going to go with David Bailey. Like, Caleb Downs might fall, and it's just because he's a safety. Like, so I think if they went Downs, I'd be like, I 100% get it. He's the best player on the board. But actually, no, forget that. Forget that. I'm going Caleb Downs. I just changed my mind. Like, the reason that I did that is they just paid Odafe Owe, and they didn't really address their safety room at all. I'll go back to their command center. We'll look at their depth chart just in case, just to kind of look at their depth chart. I probably would go David Bailey if it was purely up to me, but at the same time, I don't know if Washington is considering a pass rusher here. Like Matthew Berry, who you might know him if you watched Avengers Endgame a few years ago. Matthew Berry played a very key role in that movie. He was on a stream with the NFL Stock Exchange guys, and he is a big Washington Commanders fan. He was telling them that he thinks wide receivers more on the table than people are giving them credit for. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but he didn't really say pass rusher. He also, I think, mentioned Caleb Downs. So I don't know if this team is actually considering David Bailey. Like they paid Odafe. No, did they pay Odafe Owe or they were the ones that paid Owe, right? Odafe Owe, or am I going crazy?
They
I don't
gave
see
they
him on
gave
this depth
I,
chart.
I was muted by that. They gave Owe $100 million.
Okay, that's what I thought because I don't see him on
Yeah.
this depth chart. Where is Odafe Owe? Am I being
Yeah, he's on the
ridiculous?
Commanders. Maybe it's outdated, but I don't see Leo Chanel either.
Like that's kind of yeah, Chanel's right there. There's
Oh, there he is. My bad. Yeah,
am I going crazy? He
he's a
works with
Washington.
Commanders.
Yeah, see right there.
Okay, I'm just confused. Okay, I got. Okay, I did a command search. He's not on the depth chart. That's so weird. That I was like
Uh,
tripping for a second. So if you thought I was having a stroke, it was purely because like I don't see the big guy they signed. So yeah, this depth chart has should have Odafe Owe, but looking at their safety room, I'm trying to scroll down so we get it all the way. Their safety room is Quan Martin and Jeremy Reeves right now. Assuming this is right, we don't see Odafe Owe. So like I think you could justify taking Caleb Downs here, and I think that would be the right pick. I think any team could take Caleb Downs, and you'd be like, I get it, like because I think he's going to be good. So I don't think a team's going to pass him. Like, okay, we're going to be more efficient. So I'm done yapping. So Washington takes
yeah.
Caleb Downs. You're up with
Odafe Owe plays signed with the Commanders, Lucas. You
yeah.
didn't imagine that actually happened.
Yeah.
Maybe this depth chart is missing some things. So but they did show Chanel, which I think is weird. I don't know why Owe's not on there. Anyways, I have the Saints. So like I said, this is what I would do if I was the Saints and not what I think they'd do. I would take so you have Bain and Bailey. I think they take one of them because like, if you look, edge is their biggest need. Cam Jordan's likely not coming back. I'm gonna go Ruben Bain here. I know there was a story about him this past weekend, and look, I'm not gonna minimize what happened because obviously it was a tragic incident. But this is not people who think this is similar to the Jalen Carter situation from a few years ago. It's not quite like that, where I think it was more so of an accident than Bain being reckless behind the wheel, like Jalen Carter was in 2023, and Jalen Carter still went in the top 10 that year. Look, I think the NFL views Bailey higher than Bain, but like I said, this is what I personally would do if I'm Mickey Loomis. I'm making the picks, and I'm going to go with Ruben Bain here. With the eighth overall pick, I think Ruben Bain is a excellent football player. He really doesn't have many distinct weaknesses other than his physical attributes, which is his short arm. His arm length was the big talking point. Whereas Bailey, I do think there's more holes to pick in his game that we talked about last week. So I would take a guy who I think is the slightly, not significantly, but slightly better player. Give me Ruben Bain to the Saints, eighth overall.
Yeah, I think that's the right pick. Like, no arguments there. I think Ruben Bain is the best defensive player in the draft, like pound for pound. Like, I think positional value. I think he's better than Caleb Downs, but maybe not the better raw prospect. But so okay. And in terms of his car accident, like for people who don't remember, who may not know, like the family of the victim, like they don't seem to hold anything against him. And Florida, the state of
Right.
Florida, who is
Yeah.
not exactly weak on crime, that state is opted not to charge him. So that kind of shows you, like, okay, I don't know exactly what happened, but it doesn't. It seems like it was a genuine accident, and
Yes.
like
Yes.
stuff happens. Like it's not like he was
Right.
drunk or high or he was pulling Rasheed Rice or Jalen Carter, not trying to be insensitive.
Mhm.
I think this is one of those where like I don't think it should be held against him, and I don't think teams are.
Right. No,
Okay,
for sure.
I'm
No,
up
that's
with
what I was. Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm up with the Chiefs. So I'm in a tough position. Like I know I say that a lot, but I mean it. Like this board kind of did not fall right to the Chiefs. It kind of stunk because like each of the last three picks were guys I would have picked if one of them were on the board at least. Like, but that guy's not on the board. I'm really gonna go what I would do here. I This is my goal for the ninth pick, and I'm gonna kind of give a little monologue. My goal for the ninth pick is to get the next blue chip talent, the next Chris Jones, the next Travis Kelsey for this team. Not get a
Mhm.
player the team needs to win the next 2 years, but to get the player that will be like a borderline will be an all pro. Like the best chance to get the next all pro, not a guy who will be
Right.
really good.
Next
Get a
cornerstone
superstar.
of the cornerstone of the next phase of this team once Kelsey
Exactly.
retires, once Jones
Exactly.
retires. Like, yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm stuck between two players. And I because I'm stuck between two guys. Do you want to guess which two guys I'm thinking of right now? Like,
Styles,
okay.
McCoy.
You got one of those right. I'm thinking of Makai Lemon and Jermon McCoy. Like, those are the
Wow.
guys I'm
Okay.
stuck with me. I think Makai Lemon's really good. Like, I genuinely think he could be a Amon-Ra St. Brown type player for this team. And if they get Amon-Ra St. Brown, that counts as a
Oh,
blue chip.
yeah.
But the problem is, like, he's not a big body guy. And like the Chiefs fans wouldn't want that type of guy. I don't really care. I think he's really good. And then Jermon McCoy, like I know he didn't play last year, and I don't know if the Chiefs brought him in for a visit. They need to check out his ACL, but like I'm telling people, his 2024 tape blows any other corner out of the water in terms of their 2025 tape. I think there's a good chance. I know people are going to say, "Oh, they can get it." The Chiefs are great at developing cornerbacks. Like they just traded Trent McDuffie. I don't give a shit that they traded Trent McDuffie, so they can't take a cornerback in the top first round because of that. I think your goal is just to draft as many good players as possible. I'm going to go Jermon McCoy. I know he's 16th on the consensus big board, but I think if he hits, this guy could be the best corner in football. I'm not saying that to like gas it up, like, oh, like I'm being a homer. Like that dude's tape is insane. Like if he didn't get hurt, they'll blow out his ACL. There's a real chance he's like the third pick of the draft, like to the Cardinals, or he doesn't get past the Giants. The only reason he's at 9 is because he tore his ACL, but he came back after his recovery and ran like a 4.35 40 and had like a 36-inch vertical jump or whatever it was. Cleveland's not going to affect him. I'm taking a big swing. Maybe blows up in my face, but I would go with the potential next grade cornerback in the NFL.
Wow, because like a lot of people view him as is below Delane along the hierarchy of corners in this draft. So that's something that Chiefs fans like might be divided on, with a guy like Sonny Styles still on the board, a guy like David Bailey, who a lot of Chiefs fans love, still on the board. So this might like throw some people off, but I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I think McCoy's really talented, and I don't. It's his injury history is not like Jordan Tyson's, where like Jordan Tyson's been hurt basically every year of his football life, whereas McCoy last year had a freak injury and potentially could have played, but didn't because Tennessee was kind of out of it. I wouldn't hate this. I would personally prefer some other guys that were still there, but it would be a very risky pick. But if it pays off, like obviously, if you get McCoy, if McCoy's as good as you think he can be, and he's the next Patrick Surtain or Devon Witherspoon or Quinyon Mitchell or elite corner in the NFL, I mean, yeah, that makes this trade or this pick 100% worth it. All right, next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think logically they would pick defense. If you look at their biggest needs, literally all of them are defense. Like the Bengals need defense in any way, shape, or form they can get. I'm going to take the guy that I just can't in good conscience let fall out of the top 10. Give me David Bailey to the Bengals at 10. Trey Hendrickson is gone. They really have no strength on their defense. I know they paid Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe last year had 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks. Like Boye Mafe is not a guy that you're going to rely on to bolster your pass rush. Whereas David Bailey, if he hits his ceiling, can be that guy. Like Styles would be a good pick because their linebackers are bad. Like pretty much every aspect of the Bengals defense stinks. Like a lot of defensive players would be a safe pick here. I like David Bailey a lot. I think if he hits his ceiling, he could be. I'm not saying he's going to be Von Miller because like that's a high bar. He's very comparable to Von Miller. Like he can get after the quarterback in any way, shape, or form. You could argue that like he feasted on bad offensive lines. That guy is like, I think he's more raw than people think. I think he has more bust potential than people think. But if he hits his ceiling, he could be a special player. And the Bengals need anything they can get on defense. Like, as much as we love Brian Cook, he's not saving that defense. Boye Mafe, despite what they paid him, is not saving that defense. It makes them better. David Bailey can help take that defense from absolutely horrific to a team that you can win football games with and help Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the guys on that offensive side of the ball because they failed to do that the last handful of years.
Exactly. Like this is the range where I think David Bailey should go. Like I'm lower on him than consensus, but like 10th to the Bengals would be fine value. I think if he went a tiny bit later, it might be better, but like 10th overall is perfectly fine value for Bailey. The ceiling is there. He just needs a little bit of development and he could be a very, very good player. Okay, I'm up with Miami. I'm stuck between 2 players. Like I'm stuck between or 3. Mansour Delane, Makai Lemon, and Olayavega Awane. Those are the 3 players I'm stuck on. I think I am going to go with Makai Lemon because if you look at let's look at the command center, assuming this depth chart is accurate, this wide receiver core has nobody. Like it's a train wreck. The other position I would have thought of was corner. The cornerback group is awful, but it's a deep draft at that position. Like So I think they can get away with it. They also need a guard. Like Jonas Savanaia was one of the worst players in the NFL last year. Kion Smith, I don't know who that guy is. Jamari Sawyer, eh. But I think I'm going to go with Lemon. I think he's the best player on the board. I don't care if he's not ranked the highest, but I think this team needs a bona fide number one receiver. I think he plays a style that's going to last a long time. And once you get your future quarterback next year or the year after, Lemon's going to be fully ready. And it's great to have a number one wide receiver ready to go. And they could focus on the offensive line a little bit later in the draft. Okay, so you're back up at Dallas.
Yes. So I get one great offense and bad defense to another great offense and bad defense. The Cowboys, another team, desperately need help defensively. They are a tire fire on that side of the ball. They were an absolute sieve a year ago. So they have a lot of needs too. This is an easy one. Give me Sonny Styles. I mean, I think they desperately need inside linebackers. The Cowboys, pull up the command center. The Cowboys inside linebackers are terrible, terrible. Maybe the worst room in the league. If you pull it down, that's their offense. Yeah, like Demarion Overshown's fine, but like Shamar James and Maris Loafu, are you kidding me? Those guys are not NFL starters in any capacity. Sonny Styles would step in and be an immediate upgrade. If he's there at 12, the Cowboys, like Jerry Jones, should move as fast as humanly possible. I don't know how that is for him to make that pick, because like that would be a huge one.
Yeah, I think that's the right pick. Same pick I would have made, and I think it's the same pick they will make. Okay, I'm up with the Los Angeles Rams at 13. They don't need corner, because obviously they rated the Kansas City Chiefs' depth chart to fix their cornerback room this year with Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I wouldn't take a right tackle here. I would have thought about Spencer Fano or Francis Mauigoa if they were on the board, but they're not. I am stuck between a couple of different players. Both of them are at the same position. I think this team is trying to win now. They are not trying to focus on their team of the future. I think they're purely drafting. How can we get Matthew Stafford a ring in 2026? They're not drafting to have the best team in 2027 or 2028. How can we be the best team immediately? And so maybe it would be Jordan Tyson more times than not. Maybe they would go with Kenyon Sadiq, but they just drafted another Oregon tight end last year in Terrence Ferguson. I am going to go a little bit. I'm going to pull up their command center before I announce my pick. I'll keep it fast. Here's their wide receiver core. It's Adams, who's old and injury prone at this point. Puka Nacua. Who knows if Puka's going to be there? How many games he's going to be there? He's currently in rehab. All the best to him. Jordan Whittington, I think, is an all right depth guy, but he's like a wide receiver 4, elite wide receiver 3. They have nothing. I'm going to go off the board here. I think this guy's really good, and he's a really good compliment. I'm going to go with Omar Cooper Jr. Maybe a little bit of a reach for a lot of people, but for me, this guy's Rashee Rice. This is Rashee Rice if he wasn't a headache. So if the Chiefs wanted to get a Rashee Rice clone that didn't have all the BS, they would just trade down and get Omar Cooper Jr. But I think for the Rams, he makes sense. Adams and Puka are kind of they're kind of separators. Omar Cooper Jr. gives them an after the catch threat that Devontae Adams won't bring them at his current age. And Puka Nacua is really, really good at that, but he's not reliable. So I think just give Matthew Stafford a weapon that allows him to get rid of the ball quickly and gives them an after the catch threat. So give me Omar Cooper Jr. Wouldn't pick him for most teams, but for the Rams at 13, I would pull the trigger.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Because that team, they kind of fixed their biggest issue last year, besides their special teams, was their pass defense, was their secondary. Their secondary got cooked on multiple occasions down the stretch. Obviously the most egregious one was in the NFC Championship game. And they addressed that issue by bringing in Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. So I think Cooper is a good one where it kind of builds, because the Rams, as good as they were on offense last year, they sorely lacked a wide receiver 3. I mean, outside of Adams and Nacua, their receivers stunk. It was, Mumfield and Xavier Smith and guys who no defensive coordinator is staying up and thinking about at all. So Omar Cooper gives Matthew Stafford a third option at receiver when Adams and Nacua are neutralized. So this would be a smart pick. I understand this one. All right, 3 more. So starting with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens love tight ends, and Isaiah Likely is gone. He followed John Harbaugh to the Giants. And Mark Andrews is probably like 50 years old, even though they gave him a 3-year extension. So who's the best tight end in this draft? Yeah, Durham Smythe. Give me a break. Also, they lost Charlie Kolar, who was an underrated blocking tight end, also made some plays as a pass catcher. They need tight ends. Who's the best tight end in this draft? That would be Kenyon Sadiq, 14th overall to the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson loves throwing to the tight end. I believe he is among the league leaders in touchdown passes to tight ends over the last handful of years. Kenyon Sadiq can help keep that trend alive.
Yep, I agree. It's going to be him or Ione. Maybe they go with David Bailey if he's sitting there, but I think this makes perfect sense. Yeah, so and kind of a little tangent, like the Ravens have a formula. Like it seems like over the past in like the Eric DeCosta era, they do the exact same thing. They draft multiple tight ends, let their contracts run out, and then they repeat the process. They drafted Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews in 2018. They re-signed Mark Andrews, of course, but then let Hayden Hurst walk. Then 4 years ago, they drafted Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kolar, let both of them walk. And this is a great tight end class. Like I think Kenyon Sadiq, I don't think he's a perfect prospect, but I think he makes a lot of sense. He's not a great blocker. Like, I don't think he's like going to come in and be Gronk, but he's not a zero. He's not Eli Stowers, who Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt's going to give you nothing as a blocker. He's basically what I think Kelsey is right now. So I think it makes sense. I think they'll go Sadiq, and then they'll pick another guy in like the 3rd or the 4th round. A guy I love is Sam Roush. Like, if they go Sadiq here and then Sam Roush in the 3rd round, like they have the best tight end room in the NFL immediately. So okay, I'm up with the Bucks. I'll speed it up. Tampa, this is tough because it kind of depends on how they want to go. Do they want to be a win now team or do they want to reload and build for the future? I think because they brought back Todd Bowles, they're going to want to try and win now because I just don't think it makes sense if you want to try and like build something sustainable for the long-term future. I don't think that guy is Todd Bowles. Like if you bring back Todd Bowles, you want to try and win in 2026. So looking at their team needs is guard. I'm not going to take Ione there. I actually need to pull up their command center because I haven't mocked the Bucks a lot. I think their offensive line is fine. I think Elijah Klein, I think he could be fine as a guard, but I don't think that's a need they need to address in the 1st round. A quiet need is probably wide receiver. Like I know they picked Ibuka last year. Mike Evans is gone. Like Ibuka, I think is a high end number 2. Chris Godwin can't stay healthy. Tez Johnson, I think, is like a depth guy. I wouldn't blame them if they wanted to go like Jordan Tyson or Casey Concepcion. I'm not. I'm stuck between Mansour Delane and Akeem Mesidor. Like this team's secondary is not good. I'll pull up their defense because I'll need to see their depth chart because like I actually need that to make a decision. Anthony Nelson, he's still on the team. He was on the team like when Brady was there.
Yeah,
I don't see any pass rushers that I care about. Kalijah Cansey's pretty good. Elijah Roberts, he's a 2nd-year player. Their secondary, I think, has pieces. Like, okay, Zion McCollum, Benjamin Morrison, like Jacob Parrish. There's a reality in which those guys are really good. So I don't think they need to take a 1st-round corner. I do think they need a 1st-round pass rusher. That guy, to me, is Akeem Mesidor. People are going to hate it because they look at his age, and I can't find his age here, but he's going to turn I think 25, and he's old. Like he's an old. I'm actually gonna look up his birthday only because it's significant. And I don't know. Have I ranted about Akeem Mesidor's age on this podcast? I don't want to do it again.
Please don't. But no, you haven't.
Okay, he's
20. Save it for next week.
He just turned 25. I think he's really good. I think if you're a team looking for a day 1 pass rusher to give them reps like immediately, then you take Mesidor. If you're a young team that wants to aim for a higher ceiling guy, and you're okay being patient, you don't take Mesidor. I think the Bucks are a team that should take Mesidor because he is ready to win now. He's a win now player. This team needs pass rush. If you're a team that needs to get pass rush help now, you take Mesidor. You maybe if you want to aim for a higher ceiling guy, you will Keldrick Falk or Cassius Howell or TJ Parker. But if you want someone to give you meaningful snaps right now, you go with Akeem Mesidor, who changed positions and was coached up well by Jason Taylor. So he has the pass rush form and bag that you want in a day 1 rookie or day 1 starter.
All right. That leaves one last one in the top 16. That is the New York Jets. Of course, they have this pick from the Indianapolis Colts in exchange for Sauce Gardner. So the Jets, look, obviously they're the Jets. They have a lot of needs. Receiver, they have no receivers outside of Garrett Wilson. I mean, quarterback, I don't think Ty Simpson would be worth it here, if I'm being really honest. Although I wouldn't hate it because Geno's probably a 1 year stopgap, and the quarterbacks behind Geno are, as of this moment, Brady Cook and Bailey Zappi. So I would understand taking Ty Simpson here. However, um, man, Mansour Delane's still there. But like, do they really need corners? I mean, their corners really aren't that bad. I mean, they have Brandon Stevens and Jarvis Brownlee. Not great, but not horrible. I if I'm the Jets, I know the injuries are there. I would take Jordan Tyson here at 16. I think this is a good spot for Jordan Tyson. I think Jordan Tyson is very talented. I think he is, if not for the injuries, I think some people would be projecting him to go in the top 10. I think in terms of pure football ability, he, in my opinion, now maybe not Lucas's, but in mine, he is the second best receiver in this draft, only behind Carnell Tate. The only issues are the injuries. I mean, the guy's been injured pretty much every level he's played at in college, but the Jets need to give Garrett Wilson some help at receiver. If you pull up the command center, that's the Cowboys. Let's see, the Jets command center.
Yeah, because once you pick it,
oh right. So
Yeah,
the Jets command center. If we look at the receiver depth, I mean, I know it's Arian Smith, A.D. Mitchell. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. He's a 3 at best. Isaiah Williams is not a real person. So like they need help at receiver. And Jordan Tyson could be, if he stays healthy, which is the biggest if imaginable, if he can stay healthy for the first time, he can be a legitimate number 2 receiver for Garrett Wilson. It's a risk because of the injury concerns, but I think Jordan Tyson, in terms of playing the sport of football, is really, really good. So I think this would be a smart pick for the Jets here.
I 100% agree. Like I think like they got to run the pick in. Like I think because they're not going to go quarterback at least in the first round, they need to build up a ecosystem that's most beneficial to a quarterback they probably should draft in 2027. Whether they Arch Manning, Dante Moore, the offensive line's in pretty good shape. Like maybe they need to add depth on the interior O line down the road, but they have their tackles. They have multiple pieces on the inside. They drafted Arvell Reese to boost the defense. Like, and this offense is quietly in very good shape outside of quarterback. Like, I didn't agree with their decision to bring back Breece Hall, but if they re-sign him, he's a top 10 to 15 running back. Garrett Wilson's a bona fide number 1. Jordan Tyson I also think can be a number 1, or he could be one of the best number 2s in the NFL. Like, and Mason Taylor, I think has potential to be a solid starting tight end. Like, they have everything you want in an offense other than the quarterback if they pick Tyson. And I think the defense might stink, but when you have a young quarterback, you only care about the offensive supporting cast.
Right.
With the play calling and the talent. So I agree with this pick. Okay, so next I'm up with the Cowboys. And so because we did the top 16, several of those teams have multiple picks in the back half of the first round. So I'm up again for the Cowboys because we'll be alternating. So I'm going to go. So the Cowboys will pull up their depth, the command center again. The depth.
I had the Cowboys first pick, by the way. I had them taking Sonny Styles.
Yeah, exactly. And like Sonny Styles will be right there. They either need, I think they need safety help because like it's Malik Hooker, Marquise Bell, and cornerback depth. I don't see Siobhan Revel there. My boy Siobhan Revel. Like I loved him as like a second or third round pick last year. I don't see him on there. They pretty much need everything on defense. Like literally other than linebacker, though they got Styles. So like pretty much pull up any defensive player that's not linebacker, like, and you just pick your best one. So I'm going to pick between 2 guys, Keldrick Falk or Dylan Thieneman. And I'm going to go Dylan Thieneman. He's ranked 27th, but he's definitely not going to go 27th. He might go much higher. I think he can go 10 to the Bengals. Like I think that's his ceiling. But this team like needs everything on defense. I think he's really, really, really good. Like I don't care that he's white. I don't care that he's a safety. This guy's going to be an amazing free safety in the NFL. Maybe make a Pro Bowl or 2 on his rookie contract. So I think Dallas just needs good defensive players, and I think Thieneman is the top one on the board.
All right. So in our mock, the Steelers take Avion Terrell, corner. Like I said, to add on that, the Cowboys need, similar to the Bengals, they need as much defense as possible because they're pretty well set on offense. They don't need a ton of help there, but their defense needs a lot of work. So Avion Terrell goes to the Steelers at 21. Monroe Freeling goes to the Chargers at 22. Caden Proctor goes to the Eagles at 23. So I have the Cleveland Browns to look at their needs: tackle, quarterback, uh, center. I thought that was offensive coordinator at first. Center, edge rusher, safety. So look, the Browns, Ty Simpson still on the board. Like the quarterback room is obviously pretty questionable to say the least. I don't think they will take Ty Simpson, nor should they, to be honest. Edge is listed in need. They obviously have Myles Garrett, but they don't really have anyone beside him. Man, for the Browns, I'm gonna go with Caleb Lomu here with the 24th overall pick because, like I said, their offensive line needs a lot of help. Elton Jenkins was a good signing. Zion Johnson was a really bad signing, and then both Mauanoa and Fano were off the board when they picked at 6. So they used the pick on Lomu to help patch up their offensive line. Like I said, the Browns just obviously quarterback is a big issue, but the pieces surrounding their quarterback are also an issue, which is why Tate and Lomo I think are safe picks. Just make the offensive infrastructure as good as possible because this is a team that will have a very, very high, barring something unforeseen, will have a very high pick in 2027 to take a future franchise quarterback that's not currently on the roster. So build up that infrastructure before you take the quarterback. So I think Lomo's the safe one here, safe bet here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is probably the right pick. I think I don't love Lomu as a prospect. Don't love him at 24, but for Cleveland, it makes sense. I think looking at the picks between Dallas and Cleveland, like you said, like I think they would have picked either Monroe Freeling or Caden Proctor if he was on the board because
Yeah.
both those guys were, I think, left tackles in college. I know Freeling was. I don't know if Proctor was a right or a left tackle, but he played tackle. I think Freeling doesn't make sense at 6 or he'd be a reach. I think at 24 you run the pick in because like I know it's kind of like a trope that like, oh, if this guy doesn't work at tackle, you place him at guard. Like, no, like that's not doesn't apply to Freeling and Blake Miller. Like, fun fact, not every guy who could play tackle can play guard. Like, that's just not how it works. You can't put every single tackle at guard and it will work. Blake Miller and Monroe Freeling are guys who are they're tackle only. They will not survive at guard because they need it's a different skill set. Like you need to have a stronger base. You can't be like a weak guard. Like if you don't have like a strong upper body, you can't survive because you're going up against guys that are 330 pounds and strong like an ox. But to play tackle, you need to be athletic and you need to move more than you need raw strength. You need strength, but like you need to be able to move. So I think Freeling and Miller are tackles only. And so that's why I think Cleveland and I think Caleb Lumu could play guard. And I know I'm rambling, but I'm just trying. If I'm Cleveland, I'd be pissed if these were the two picks before me. Like, I think Monroe Freeling, you run the pick in. Like at 20, not at 6, but at 24, you run the pick in. They signed pretty much every offensive line position possible combination except for raw left tackle. So that's the right pick. I would have picked Caleb Bloom in this spot. Max Ionichor, I think, is too much of a project for them. I think Caleb Bloom was a little bit more of a known commodity, so I think this is the right pick. I'm up again with Kansas City. So I don't know if you want to steal this pick from me and I take the Dolphins. Like you to pick, I think I pick for the Dolphins. So no matter what, I'll be picking for two teams.
All right. So yeah. So you have the Chiefs. I have the Dolphins.
Yep. So
yeah.
Okay. This is
you have both Chiefs picks, so no pressure.
Okay. So the first pick I picked Jermon McCoy. So this pick for me, it has to be edge or it has to be wide receiver. None of the other two. Like it can't be something other than that here. I don't see anyone on the board that I would take other than those guys. Like Max Ionichor, I would think about if they picked an edge. Like if they picked Ruben Bain at 9, I would be 100% on board for Max Ionichor. 100%. And I know it's very controversial to pick a tackle early, but for me, it's not at 9. And it's not at the expense of an edge rusher. That's it. Like if they Chiefs pick Ruben Bain, I am much more open to them taking a non-traditional position at 29. Perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the end, but they didn't. They picked a corner, so they have to go pass rusher. So, or wide receiver. I would also tolerate wide receiver here, but for me, I don't love the wide receivers here. Like, it seems like they all went off the board. I think the last one was Denzel Boston. So you can't take wide receiver. I don't think anyone is worth the 29th pick who's on the board. Next up is edge. A lot of guys love TJ Parker. I like TJ Parker. I don't love him. I love Zion Young. I think he's a high floor run defender that
Hmm.
has the tools to be an above average pass rusher. I don't think he'll ever be a guy that'll give you like 13 sacks every year, but he's a guy who will be like, okay, he's a juiced up Mike Dane. Like he's very reliable on early downs, get the defense to third and long, but he also has the tools to be a much better pass rusher. So my rough comparison is like think of Mike Dana, except if Mike Dana was more talented. Like I know that seems
Oh
like a
yeah.
lazy comparison, but like that happens. Like just think of Mike Dana was like 20% better at everything. That's who
Right.
Zion Young would be. And I think every Chiefs fan would take a guy like Mike Dana, who was basically like if he had spinach from Popeye. Like I think you would take that. And so I think this team needs an edge rusher bad. Zion Young doesn't look like he's a steal at 45. I'm telling you, he's going to go in the top 35. There's no chance he gets out of the top 35. These rankings are off. So Chiefs need a pass rusher. They're going to get their guy in. Local guy Zion Young, who has some character concerns, but nothing like domestic violence related. So I'm comfortable taking the risk at 29.
Like, what are the character concerns if you don't? Is it more so like
He
maturity, like Josh Simmons,
it's
or
it's so he has two incidents. One, if you remember a couple years ago, he was actually at Michigan State. That's what makes scouting a little bit confusing. Is these guys
yeah,
half these guys played at like 2 or 3 different schools. He was at
right?
Michigan State, and if you remember, there was a big fight between like Michigan State and Michigan after a game, and a couple of guys ended up getting charged. Zion Young was one of those players, but that was like 2 years ago. That was a long time ago. Like heat of the
Yeah.
moment, and he also got a DUI, I think, in December. So not
Okay.
ideal,
So
but from people who were there at the combine, he was my personality comparison is Chris Jones. He was like the personality of the group. He was keeping guys motivated. He was very positive. So I don't think this is a guy who they're gonna like. I don't think they're gonna have to worry about him like having like a domestic violence video. Like I think he's like Chris Jones. Like he's Chris Jones personality wise. I think he's a dumb kid who made a couple mistakes, but I don't think this is Rasheed Rice for like like he's not a dumb kid. This is
you're
like
holding your
he has
breath
to know.
every time Rasheed
Yeah,
Rice does
no.
anything. Yeah, you're right.
I think he was just a stupid kid who gets caught up in the heat of the moment. And I think you put him with a guy like Chris Jones, I think this guy's going to mature really fast. So I have some questions, but nothing about his on-field game. At 29, I think you run the pick in if he's on the board.
All right, Zion Young. I mean, Zion Young seems like a Spags guy, doesn't he? He's also local.
Oh yeah,
He seems like a perfect Spags defensive end. I think he's a really good football player. I think this would be a good pick for the Chiefs. Finally, last but not least, although they might be least in the NFL this upcoming season, the Miami Dolphins with the 30th overall pick that they got from the Denver Broncos in exchange for Jalen Waddle. Like the Dolphins have a lot of needs. They took Mekhi Lemon with their 11th overall pick. When you look at their needs, they need a guard. I mean, Quinn Ewers is listed as their starter. That's not right. Malik Willis is their starter. So that's not up to date. But you see Mekhi Lemon there at receiver. Looking at their offensive line, I mean, like Aaron Brewer's excellent. Aaron Brewer's one of the best centers in the league. The rest of that line, yeah, yikes, not very good. So if Lucas will close that down, um, I go to the offensive guards, Lucas, because that is their biggest need. Interior offensive line. This is a guy who I think is the most underrated player in the draft, and that's Jennings Dunker from Iowa. Some might think this is a reach.
ooh,
I have the Dolphins. I like this guy. I think he is going to be translate well into the NFL. He is a very good run blocker. He plays the mean streak to him. Look, I'd be surprised if he goes in the first round, but the Dolphins guards like Jonah, I can't pronounce his last name. I'll never pronounce his last name right. He's a second year guy, so we'll give him a chance. But they'll put this guy Dunker at the other spot. I think he's a slept on player. He's the 58th overall. I think he could be a potential steal. I think he's a guy that many more people are lower on, but do not be shocked if he translates well to the NFL. Give me Jennings Dunker to the Dolphins with the 30th overall pick.
wow, like that shocked me. I think if they're going to
Yeah.
go a guard, I think Emmanuel Pregnon is the better pick, but it's the NFL draft. Like if I had a dollar for every time that a teammate picked a player at a position that I would not have picked over another guy, I would have $1,000,000. So I think there's a chance Dunker is picked in the first round, but I think most people view Pregnon as better. But like, I mean, we saw like what 4 years ago, like who was the guard the Patriots picked randomly that
Cole
like literally
Strange.
Cole
Yeah, and then
Strange. Cole
The
Strange
Rams
running
like
the
made fun of them. Sean McVay and
yeah,
Les Snead was
Bing,
the
yeah.
that was funny.
that's like that wouldn't be like Dunker wouldn't be that crazy because I think he's like a top 50 talent. I
Yeah.
just think I think it would be granted it takes one team to believe in a guy. So it could be Jennings Dunker over a guy like Emmanuel Pregnon, but I think Pregnon is like the next guy after Owane. Like if you're looking for a day one guard, I think it's Pregnon and Dunker. I think those are the two guys. Like Basantis out of Texas A&M or like another guy like Chase Basantis or Keelan Rutledge. Those are guys like I have questions about, but Dunker and Pregnon are the last two interior guys. Like I think they could start day one. Like, and I don't think I don't think a team should be panicking if they're your starting guards week one. So I don't mind it. So okay, that's the draft. We could go through all the picks quickly. We're not going to read them
All
out
right.
loud, but I'll pull them on the screen. So like we could actually, unless you want to look at like the best picks we made, but best value
Best
picks.
value. Okay,
Where
Monroe
the,
Freeling. That was a so
the favorite pick,
Sunny Styles. That was mine by Dallas, and then the rest were auto
auto
drafted.
picks.
So
Is there a worst pick, or I'm going to try to see if there's like a worst pick. This is real. Looks like nah, I'm not going to spend time looking for it, but like this seems
nah,
right out the
shame.
worst. So we got a couple of D's. The Giants. So they hated my pick of Spencer Fano. Hated my pick of Akeem Mesidor, but I think that's nuts. Akeem Mesidor should be a top 20 pick. I disagree, strongly disagree with the value there. And my browser is messing up right now, but it's perfectly fine. We're not gonna have another incident, but yeah. So I'll pull up the draft again. So that's the draft, and sorry, this website is bugging out because my little mouse cursor thing is not being proper. Okay, this is a real professional operation. So I'll try to get every pick on the screen. Looks like we do. So I'm not going to read off every pick, but and I'll ask you a question. Is there a favorite pick of mine that I made that you're like, wow, I love that pick? Like,
Oh boy. Well, given what the team needs, maybe Mekhi Lemon to Miami, just because the cupboard's so bare at receiver.
yeah,
Um, I I really like Zion Young. I know it's the Chiefs, but like I think that's a great
yeah,
value at 29. I think Zion Young is a guy who could immediately bolster their passers. I think he has a higher ceiling than George Karlaftis does. I think Zion Young, if Zion Young hits his ceiling, I think it could be better than Karlaftis, which is obviously a plus edge rusher. So those are probably my two favorites. I'd say Lemon to the Dolphins at 11, and then Young to the Chiefs at 29 are two ones that I'm a fan of.
yeah. And to return the favor to you, I think my favorite picks from your draft are I would have to go Sonny Styles. Like I think obviously he was like it was one of the top five picks, but I think Styles I don't love in the top five because linebacker has extremely high bust rate. So like it's just a position you're taking a big risk. But I think in Dallas, you have to make that pick. Like I think you run the pick, you run the card in. My other favorite pick of yours, I have one in mind. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting about another one you made. I'd have to go with Carnell Tate to Cleveland. Low moving costs because he'd only have to go from Columbus to Cleveland. But at the same time, I think that Carnell Tate is exactly what they need. Cleveland just needs good offensive players and they need wide receivers. Like other than Jerry Jeudy, I don't think Cedric Tillman's that good. So I love that pick. I think that makes a lot of sense. If I had to pick a third one, I'd probably go with Ruben Bain. Like I think Ruben Bain's awesome. I think the Saints need another pass rusher. I think what's the name of their defensive coordinator, the guy that we made fun of, the Brandon Staley. I
Brandon
think he
Staley,
makes
yeah,
I think he fits Staley's system. So those are my favorite picks.
very
So
nice.
and I think Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson just because the Jets are a team at their stage, they need to be taking high ceiling picks. Like they cannot be taken they should not take Akeem Mesidor. They shouldn't take high floor, low ceiling players. They need to take guys that like, okay, these guys could be stars. And like, because if they suck, well, the Jets already suck. So it's not like they're risking like going down. Like a team like the Bucks or the Chiefs, like they need to hit on their picks. I think the Jets they need to be going for the high ceiling lottery ticket. So okay, that's it. I'm done yapping. We've gone a little long. So
Yeah,
anything
no,
else?
it's all good.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, not really. Like I said, not much is happening. It's a calm before the storm in the NFL schedule. So Lucas and I, of course, next week we will do our full first round mock draft, all 32 teams. And then finally, the mock drafts will be done, over with, no longer until next February after the Super Bowl. So Draft season, it's long, maybe too long, but Lucas and I will give you the content, and then we will shortly react to the draft, and then before you know it, it's the schedule release and so on and so forth, and we'll keep chugging along. So, yep, next Thursday, NFL draft. Cannot wait. It's always one of the best sports days of the year, in my opinion. But yeah, I'd have nothing else to add. So, Lucas, thank you very much for joining tonight, and we will see you next time. We will see you next week for a full 32 pick mock draft. Thanks, everybody.